What's up, Yang Gang? So we are live here in New Hampshire on another live stream, bringing you grassroots Yang Gang content, Andrew Yang, all day, every day. So fresh. Ooh, we already got a like. That means somebody's here. So I think Mommy Yang is going to go find some food, y'all. Ooh, Fury of a Nerd Offender. What's up, man? Welcome all, y'all. So I'm gonna turn this around real quick. This is where Andrew is gonna be speaking. Y'all make sure you tweet it out. Get some people in here. See, y'all got the bell ding. Already know. So we got the news crews here. How close are we to our goal, y'all? How close are we to our goal? 3.5 million right now. Put it in the chat if you don't mind. Sorry, we've been on the run and on the go. And we haven't even eaten. Ooh. It's crazy, y'all. Uh-oh. Yay, we got a thumbs down. I don't care. We're glad you're here, Jack Jackman. Even if you thumbs us down. It's okay. It's all good. We got nothing but Yang Gang love for everybody. 3.4. Come on, y'all. We're so close. Let's get it. Oh, my gosh. I hope we can hit this goal before we get to the next event. Wait, what is the next event? What's the next event, Mom Yang Gang?
After this? Yeah. The party.
Party. I guess it's a party. I don't know. It's a fundraising event. There may be a bunch of folks in suits and ties. I hope not, because we're a little bit underdressed if it is.
Anybody need anything over here?
I'm hungry.
Oh, I forgot to check my email.
Oh.
I'll check it. That's in a little bit. I think it was the person that said earlier in the other live stream, did you get my email?
Oh, yes.
Was that you that sent the email about the Amazon wish list? We got a box.
Thank you so much. It's very much appreciated. Russ needed pants. Some more pants. That is awesome. Thank you very
I'm
much.
wearing the awesome pants
Ew.
that were sent to me.
So
Your
we
foot
know.
is all in my way. Like, are you just trying to be shorter for me?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, okay. My hair's
I mean, look, this is.
I can't grow taller.
This is
I'm done growing.
I'm done growing too.
So what do I do if I'm like really extremely hungry and a little thirsty?
Look.
Water.
Yeah, sure. Make sure y'all tweet this link out. You know we got lots of people from out of town. Like the big meet is here at this one. And I don't know who's going to be at the next event. Ronnie from Read My Lips. If you're watching, jumping on this live stream, you better have that bell ding.
Bell ding.
For sure. If he's supposed to be on his way, I don't know, we're working out existence.
It's going to be a late night. We're going to need some coffee. You think a brewery has coffee?
They do have beer. It's just about time.
I need coffee.
Somebody buy some beer. And Mommy Yang Gang's hungry.
Oh, where's Steve going?
Steve Martin.
What's he got?
I don't know, but he just walked by with a plate of food. Man.
We should follow him around with the camera. We should take the camera and go over there.
Where he got
Look at
his
his
food.
food. Yeah, here.
His food's here.
Yep. Let's go check him out. Let's go say hi.
I'm sorry, Steve, but we saw that plate of food walk by. We were like, "What is that?"
What time is it? What time is it?
It's almost time. It's almost time.
It's time right here. All right, so it is 7:50 p.m. Eastern time. I'm having lunch.
Right?
Time
That's
for lunch.
what we were just talking about. We was like, we haven't even eaten today.
We forget because all these events. The fifth of 6 events. and been pretty pleased with them. The size exceeded, I think, in every case, what we thought we'd get. A lot of non-Yang Gang people that are on the way, right? We need a lot of that, obviously.
There were, at the last event, there were a lot of undecided.
Oh yeah.
When he asked when you asked how many people were undecided,
Yeah.
it was most of the people there.
Which you want?
And I think that they got Yang.
But my big question is, how do I get a plate of food like that?
What I did to expedite the process, because I went down to the bar, and I just grabbed the menu and did it because I felt it was now or never.
That's
If I
right.
didn't grab something to eat now, I wasn't going to eat once we go to the last event naturally. No way. And that's going to take you to, looking at 1 in the morning, and then you can't get anything to eat because everything's closed. It's a great way to lose weight, I guess, but that's not what I'm trying to do.
It's Andrew Yang's Get Fit plan for America. Keep us so
Part of his
active.
healthcare plan. Not too good. Yeah, I would say this may be your moment to eat
I'm
something.
going.
Let's do it.
All right. See you guys tomorrow.
Just bring the whole phone and let's go order with me.
Oh, Lord help.
We're gonna go there.
I don't want to see those prices. There's sandwiches. I don't know. Yeah, just give me some food, I guess.
Get something?
Yeah, you know what I like.
I need some money.
Money. Okay. This is the
Place
place.
for me. I think he's gonna stand right there.
Mommy Yang Gang, tell the people just how hungry you are.
Y'all really care? I mean, I'm starving. I had some breakfast pizza this morning, and that's the last thing I ate.
Oh,
So,
let's use the other one. That's what it went on.
so I'm gonna go find coffee and food and bring it to you. I'll leave my phone here.
Yes. All right, I'll talk to the Yang Gang, and hopefully I get everybody to tweet this link out. I know Zach and Matt are here. They're in Yang Stream with the Twitch feed. He's on Twitch. Hey. Yep. For those of y'all that were on the last stream, man, that was really cool. He said we inspired him to get out there and do this. That's really cool. It's high praise, y'all. It makes us feel good that we have impacted people's lives like that. Because we feel like that goes in, all the people that channel reaches for Andrew Yang. We had something to do with that. And it's really, really, really cool. So,
One, two, three, check. 1, 2, 3, check. One, two, check. 1, 2, 3.
That's actually what I changed for. And this was just if I'm tired, I'm sorry if I'm not tired.
all right, Yang Gang, sorry for that. Okay, so check this out. All right, it's Ted from Yang Street. Yeah. So he called me over and said that there was a guy that watches his channel that drove here from Connecticut who was hardcore Mac, he was a Trump guy. And he wanted to know about help with Yang. And I said, absolutely, but the best person to yang somebody is Andrew Yang. So we'll see what happens after he hears Andrew talk. And the dude drove here from Connecticut, so that's really cool that he would do that just to come to this event. It looked like Abe Lincoln wearing back. Abe Lincoln, that's what I get. I'll take that. I like that. Whatever.
Check, check. 1, 2, 3.
So anyway, we
Check, check.
got.
1, 2, 2, 3.
Thank you for that $20 that came in the super chat. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated, y'all. That's what helps us get to all these events and stuff. And listen, that is what helps us be in position to speak to the New York Times, who interviewed us at the last event. So Grassroots Yang Gang family will once again be in the New York Times. So, and that wouldn't be possible.
Apparently it's gonna be over there.
Gang Gang, if y'all didn't help us get to these events, and y'all didn't, you know, I mean, it's a blessing because this is what we do. We work for y'all. So we appreciate the donations, and we appreciate the super chats, and all of our donation links are in the other video descriptions. They'll be in this one later. Andrew should be here shortly. We're all getting ready. Mommy Yang Gang went to find some food, I think. And she said, I need some money. And I said, don't you have some money? I think you do. But she left her pocket. But anyway, she had to get some money. So thank you for that $20. You just helped make our night a little bit easier. So this is the last event, Yang Gang, before the Andrew Yang New Year's Eve fundraising celebration. I meant to talk to Steve Marchand about where we were at the 3.4. We are less than 100,000 away from the Q4 goal. Let's hit it, Yang Gang. Let's hit it. Oh my gosh. And I know a lot of the people who watch this channel are just like us, the broke folk. And it's tough. You know what? And I'm going to talk about it right now. We got a video coming out about it, but I feel I might as well tell you right now. While you're on here, in case you can do it. If you want to donate to Andrew Yang, do what we did yesterday, and we attempted to do yesterday, and change in your change. Because I know the broke folk vote has this habit of like storing change in a jar for a rainy day. I mean, that's what we do. we do it. That's what we do. And take that change down to a Coinstar and change it in and donate to the campaign that way. If you're, and I know a lot of the broke folk vote can't even do that, man. We got to keep that change. But hey. That's what we got to do. We got to do this. We got to get this guy elected. Whatever it takes, Yang Gang. Make sure y'all tweet this out, tweet the link out, Facebook it. Man, I miss some of our Portland, Oregon Yang Gang. God, we haven't talked to them in a while. Shout out to y'all if y'all still watching this channel. All the help y'all gave us back in the early days. We still remember everybody that helps this channel. Believe it, we remember. It is such a blessing to us for us to be able to do this for y'all, for us, and to help us. I mean, we're literally helping change the world, y'all. Believe that. Every one of you Yang Gang out there who talk about Andrew Yang, working so hard to get Andrew Yang elected, you are literally changing history, y'all. Changing history. Be a part of that change, man. And if you can do more, do more. Y'all, we gave up jobs because we believed in this vision so much. And we wanted to come to New Hampshire and do all we could. We're here now. We were doing it in North Carolina and South Carolina a while ago. Thank you, Kit. I appreciate that very, very much. Just want to get a nice plate of food. But we're going, Mommy Yang, I don't know. Sometimes I'd like to say that her eyes are bigger than her stomach. Sometimes, but they're not. They're not. I don't understand it. She literally eats more than I do. It's nuts. Like, She was talking about breakfast pizza. Now that is seriously, literally all we had today. We had a slice of breakfast pizza. We've been on the go ever since, trying to get out to these events. It took us another 2 hours of driving just to get here. So, I mean, we burned a tank of gas yesterday. We're gonna burn another one today. So, those donations are very much appreciated. They help us get to these things. But I don't know. I'm hoping she knows I like beef. Sorry, vegans. We are almost. It should be almost done. It's almost done. Give y'all a shot of the ground.
Mic check 1, 2, test.
All right, so as you can see, the place is starting to fill up. Now we're early, and it's finally good that we are early because I'm telling you what, we've been to 2 of these events now. We haven't been able to talk to y'all at all, and which is fine. We don't have to, but we like to. Because we love y'all. Y'all have been supporting this channel for a long time. And all my nephews. And it was great. We appreciate it. Give us a tour of the bar before it fills up. Alright, sure. Why not? The place is actually pretty awesome.
These things have been doing.
What up, team?
So, as you know, when you stream, more and more people come in and go, and they leave and they come. And so everyone saw you, and they're like, go say hi to Russell.
What's up, Yang Gang?
How you guys
We
doing?
appreciate y'all very much. Thanks for tuning into the channel.
Do you want to grab a drink?
I am.
Or do you have to chill up here?
No, I'm actually about to take a tour of the bar.
Okay. You want to... Okay, so you want to grab some.
Well, hold on, what? How do you get down there? Alright, so here's a shot of the bar. And I'm trying to figure out how to get down there. Maybe we got this scarf.
Where'd you get the scarf?
This one I got at yang2020.com.
Oh, really?
Yep, on the website. I think they're actually sold out of them right now. Yeah.
You're gonna be coming with, right?
Yeah, the Telegraph one. Well, Telegraph one's
Alright, gang. So here we go.
Thank you so much.
Michelle's name.
I don't allow people to use my image in social media, just a heads up.
Okay. Were you in
So
there?
you guys walking through there? Well, you can kind of walk past here. Don't use my image, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Don't use my image. No, I'm not.
Okay, that's fine.
You're just now recording I don't want to be in that chair.
Okay. So, certain people don't want to be seen on social media, and that's fine. But it's camera's facing me, so anyway. I was gonna go over here and see if. Okay. I was gonna see if I could pick up this pretty lady over here But like this dude in the math hat like beat me over.
She saw my math hat, but then she said, I don't go with baby faces. She told me straight up. As soon as I walked up, she just said, sorry, you look like you're 12. Get out of here. Take a hike. You don't have permission to use mine.
Wait, are you saying I look like an old guy?
No, I'm just saying you look like a man and I look like a baby.
I think he just said I look like an old
What
guy.
I was saying was,
Yeah.
this guy came over and he was talking to us about all kinds of campaign stuff and everything. And he's like, oh, by the way, can you cut that out of your video because I can't, I can't do videos.
And we're like, yeah.
Sure. It's like, bro, we're live streaming, man. You can't
And that's
I
actually,
don't allow my image. I mean, you're in a public place, right?
yeah, no, I think it's cool.
So this is me. I'm about to drink it if it is. This is you. I don't know if you'll like it.
What is it?
Looks like a dark.
Millie Vanilli?
The only thing they have is espresso.
Thank you for buying me this beer. Very much appreciated.
You're like,
Very much. I am thirsty.
They don't call it espresso separate. Like, they don't
Trying to talk all day. I actually have been talking all day. Because we meet a lot of the people who are after these events, y'all. And we talk to a lot of these people. And there'll be people who stop us. And I don't know that it's Guinness. I don't really think Guinness.
No, it's Willie's.
It's Willie's. Instead of
Oh,
Guinness.
Millie's. It's Millie's.
It's Millie's.
It's not Willie's.
It's Millie Vanilli's.
Do you like it?
I don't know. I haven't tasted it. I was thinking the Yang.
Is Yang coming? No, it's just me and Russell. That we're gonna speak. We're gonna take turns. We're gonna go up there and Yang him. Yang said he's like, nah, I'm done Yanging for
A
today.
little bit of espresso.
Nah, he'll be here in like 20 minutes.
Espresso?
Espresso.
Okay. Can I order? Wait a second. No, it's okay.
Did you order food? What are you doing?
Anything good?
Barbecue pulled pork sound
Barbecue what?
right there. That looks really good. It's only $10. We could split it.
Barbecue pork, man. Well, you know. Let me get this phone around Mommy Yang Yang.
Oh, you missed the moment. On his live stream, when the lady, he was recording as he was walking through, and she came back to him and she goes, I do not give you permission to record me.
Hey, you didn't see? She got me here right here too.
This she did.
Yes. She's like, I don't give them permission.
But we're live.
But it's too late. You know, what do you say? I don't care if you give me permission or not, really. I mean, you just walked on my stream.
Yeah. Watch where you're walking.
Oh, ain't getting left.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it. You know, not at this moment.
So, you don't have to
That's our server right there. She's very stressed out right now.
She's very stressed out.
Yeah, she got yelled at by her boss a minute ago.
Well, she'll be less stressed out when she gets an extra $1,000. I think a lot of us will be less stressed out if we get $1,000.
You're right. That's what her problem is. She doesn't have a freedom dividend.
She can't get out.
Could totally go a whole new route if she had a freedom dividend. She motherfucking hate being involved, you know?
So what do y'all think about me ordering alcohol and not getting carded? Do I look that old?
Wait, and not getting what?
Carded? Okay. I don't get carded anymore.
So Andrew will be
I'm
speaking
past
here
that
shortly.
age.
Maybe. There's a lot of MAGA people around here. For sure. But that's cool because I like talking to MAGA people. My people. But most of us in the Trump camp like the Trump because we're all fucking broke. I mean, we all want something to change in Washington. We all want to change.
And so we were like, hey, this guy's an
We're
outsider.
like, hey, this guy's going to be on the
Pirating their
outside.
stream.
And
Look at this. This is
you know,
awesome.
let's stream.
I'm just gonna follow Grassroots Gang from now on and just face the camera at them.
Anyway,
This is the pirate. Can someone change the name of the description to pirate Grassroots Yang Gang? Illegal pirate.
most of us in the Trump
Grassroots.
camp we just want change. We just want shit to be better. It's not that we hate people. It's just we just want our neighbors to do better. We want to do better. You know, and it's so crazy that we have the number of homeless people living on the street that we have. It's ridiculous.
When that taco order
And we
you place
can, you
comes
telling me
through,
that we have the
just
ability
let me know, okay?
to change that by taxing rich companies
You hear me, Ryan?
who are paying zero in taxes and give all these homeless people $1,000 a month? That alone should make you vote for Andrew Yang, y'all.
All these people, they already know.
You already know. You already know. Y'all tune into the channel. You already know. I start preaching in a minute.
Yeah.
All right,
Should I
See, he likes these live streams a lot
I do.
because he can just talk and talk and talk
I do.
and talk.
I do because
And he loves the talking.
I'm very passionate about what I believe, and I'm very passionate about Andrew Yang. And it's
Mine too.
you know, it's ridiculous that we have so many people living in this country who are poor. It's just crazy. There's too many broke people, y'all. We need to change that, and we got a chance to change that. And the way we get rid of the money in Congress is to get democracy dollars. So those two right there are enough to vote Andrew Yang.
So close.
Please expose Bernie's Medicare for all with this 4-year transition. And Bernie will expose it. What is that thing?
I didn't ask for those, but
right over there waiting
it's espresso
to
vodka.
get a good spot.
I just wanted espresso.
But I am doing the process.
It's really delicious.
Hey, you gonna stream a lot after New Year? Wanna talk?
It's already
Are we gonna stream a lot?
left, and we're gonna meet the goal. The question is, can we get
Oh, you want us to leave the stream up for hours, like we don't have to sleep or anything. I see. I'm just kidding.
That's the real question. Oh, the Tesla car is flying above Yang. So we've hit 3.4 something million at this point. We're going to be 4 hours early. Pretty incredible.
We didn't even
It's 2.
3.5 million.
3.5
We got to get to
million.
4. Remember, the Yang Gang came up with a new goal of 4 million. Not actually Andrew Yang's website. The Yang Gang ourselves.
I didn't even know about that.
Yes, 3.457.
If we could do that, Yang Gang, I don't know. But see, here's the thing: how will we know if we get there? Because the clicker will stop clicking.
Clicker will stop clicking.
Yeah, clicker stops clicking several $1,000s over. But yeah, absolutely. Keep donating.
Oh, I just saw it. You just have to wait.
We're almost to the.
Elon Musk sent out his car.
So we.
That was awesome. I didn't see that. Well, I mean, I just saw it now.
No, this is taking forever. I'm just trying to get a water.
I found this over there by the.
Oh, there's a thing?
There was a pitcher of water and some glasses.
Dumbass.
Yes.
That's all you're getting.
Hey,
Yeah.
I guess.
That's what I was doing.
I guess if you want to get us something to split.
Wait, where was it? On the far side?
Over there near the Yang event area.
Okay.
It was in that room. Why does my hair look like I've been running around in the wind?
You've been running around in the wind,
that's
getting to
it.
these events and doing all these doors, having to walk 5 miles to get in.
It wasn't 5 miles.
It was 5 miles.
He's exaggerating a little bit. Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry.
You'll see it, right?
I do. It's not midnight yet.
I'm gonna go back up here.
And why BC loves it.
You're embarrassing. Why?
Who's gonna?
Him and Corn Pop. Wait, Corn Pop? No, in the chat. No, Corn Pop.
All right, Yang
Order
Gang.
some sandwiches.
We love Andrew Yang. He's going to be here shortly.
I'm gonna keep this on my face so that nobody thinks that I'm recording them.
Corn Pop used to be this big bad bully that Joe Biden beat up.
You should record it.
When he was working at the pool.
Yeah.
At the lifeguard. When the little kids were
Talking about corn pop.
rubbing his legs down in the pool.
He's not the only one that can scalp stream Yang Gang.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe Biden had to go and he
I
brought
can
a
scalp
chain
stream
out,
too.
put the chain around his fist, and basically said, Corn Pop, we didn't have any problems here. And Corn Pop backed away. Like, oh, whoa, Joe means business. That's Corn Pop.
Corn pop. We talk about some corn
You're not
pop
the
on
only
our
one that
channel.
can scalp stream.
Oh, yeah. Scalp stream.
Scalp stream. Scalp streaming for Yang.
So, have you seen the grassroots changes? I saw you guys, I don't know, when you were talking to them last night? Yeah, that was earlier today. Earlier today, yeah. I've been watching his stream as I drove up.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. That's awesome.
So we actually I drove up from Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Trump guy, right?
Yeah.
Me too, brother.
Yes.
Me too. I'm a Trump guy too. And Andrew Yang absolutely converted me. He converted me to the point where we gave up our day jobs to Andrew Yang YouTube channel.
Sounds good.
It sounds good. What part of it sounds good?
Well, everybody gets $12,000 a year. Everybody starts out right now at zero, right?
Right.
So if you're giving everybody $12,000 a year, what are they starting out at? 12,000, right?
12,000.
So all you're really going to do is just increase inflation significantly.
What are you? What are you?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be cost insensitive.
What do they charge you for that beer?
They're charging, I don't know, how much was the beer?
I have no idea.
Let's say $7.
$7?
Right.
They know you're starting out with $12,000 a year
Look,
right now.
but
They're going to charge you $8.
I'm starting, okay, so they're going to charge me $8, right?
You know,
So-
everything.
So
Everything you do is going to go up.
if this place starts charging $8, right, and the brewery down the road, they're like, well, you know what? We're running specials at $6.50. The market's going to regulate itself. So these people are going to start losing business because I'm going down the road to the other brewery.
Because they're gonna be like, wait a minute.
Why I'm not going to pay $12 for my cheeseburger. You know, I'm still gonna be cost sensitive. So
Everything's going to go up. It's going to cost them more money to make their beer. Everything.
It's
Everything's
not
gonna
though,
go up.
for the simple reason that those are not going to be the companies that are going to be taxed.
Yeah.
This tax is not going to affect these companies. This tax is going to affect the tech companies like Amazon who are paying less in taxes than me and you.
I don't know that much about the whole Alaska deal and whatnot.
You got to think Amazon's paying zero in taxes right now, right?
But how many jobs have they created?
Not as many as you think. Not as many as you think. Here's the reason why. Amazon is employing, let's say, 100,000 people, right? But they're also closing 30% of malls and shops all across the United States. Think of how many malls and shops are going out of business because of Amazon. Because of convenience.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to
So
pay,
they've
you're going
got
to
to
pay for
become more
convenience.
competitive
But why are they paying less in taxes than me and you?
because they've got all sorts of
They've
tax
got
write-offs.
They've got good.
But
they
they're
got
paying
good
taxes.
lawyers.
They're paying plenty of taxes.
They got good lawyers.
They pay plenty of taxes.
They're paying zero. They actually got a tax refund.
All their
this year.
employees, they pay all their payroll taxes.
Their employees pay taxes.
And
That's not
also
Amazon.
Amazon pays payroll taxes as well.
Okay, so Amazon's paying his payroll taxes.
Federal
Yep.
taxes.
So
So they're
Amazon,
employing all
but
those
Amazon's
people.
actually
All those
putting
people are
nothing.
going out to this bar here, and basically they're sitting down buying $50 dinner or whatever. Basically, they're generating money into the economy, which is all trickles up.
Have you seen the Amazon fulfillment warehouse? It's full of robots.
The one that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
It's almost
got
complete. Their
booted out of
warehouses are
the Bronx.
completely automated away on it. But the fact is, if you Google it, say how much did Amazon pay in federal taxes?
Yeah.
Google will tell you that they actually received a tax rebate of almost, I can't remember how much it was, $1,000. I know I pay my taxes, and Amazon's a $1 billion company, so damn well they should pay their taxes. And Facebook, who's selling my information,
Do you when you do your taxes, do you look to give as much money as you can to Washington and give so much?
I don't want to give Washington any of my
you try
money.
to take deductions, or do you take the standard
I
deductions?
mean, I try. I
You
try to
should
take
try
it.
to pay as little
I try to
taxes
pay,
whatsoever.
and we're not blaming Amazon.
So does Amazon.
Yeah,
We're not
they do
blaming
it
Amazon.
legally.
Yeah.
We're saying, okay, so you're actually doing that. That's awesome. But now we're going to institute something in place where you're going to pay a small toll
Yeah.
on all your little Amazon
Yeah.
sales.
I understand.
So
I listened to
if
the interview
we
a couple times.
if we can institute
Yeah,
that
so you
toll,
know.
It's an interesting dynamic, but
you got to think every developed country now has a VAT tax, except the United States.
A what?
Every developed country has a VAT tax, a value-added tax.
Oh, value added.
And what this VAT tax will tax is things like, luxury items. It's not going to affect me and you. It's not going to affect our food. It's not going to affect our staples that we buy every month. So if we can do that, and we can actually start everybody out at, because, I know I was working 2 jobs, and I'm still broke. And no politician that has ever been in office has ever directly affected my life.
Yeah.
You know what would affect my life?
What's that?
$1,000 a month. Because I'm the broke folk. $1,000 a month, and she gets $1,000 a month as well. That's now $24,000 extra in my
But
household.
is that $1,000 going to be able to buy what it would buy today?
Even if,
Even if
okay,
prices
Years down the
go
road.
up.
Let's
2 years
say-
down the road, you're getting $1,000.
yes, because here's why. Because the freedom dividend is tied to inflation. So if inflation goes up, the freedom dividend goes up. So no matter how much inflation goes up,
Everything will go up. Look at
so
Social
so
Security.
if inflation
Social
goes up,
Security. It seems very familiar to Social Security.
it doesn't though.
It does.
How is it even compared to Social Security?
Each live streaming on your own stand.
No, these guys are.
Yeah, but we're separate.
Russell
Yes.
Petersons,
Yeah.
can we get a portrait of you?
Yeah.
I definitely want you to be in the story.
Absolutely.
Okay, you're gonna have to
My
not
name is
let
Chris,
this
by
is
the way.
Chris.
Oh, hi.
He's a photographer.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
This is Elisa.
Oh, my hair's all crazy.
You look great.
Chris. Yeah, this is like 2 double-tiered live streaming tabs.
That's great.
West Coast. I'm Barry. Hello. Nice to meet you, Barry. Like I said.
This is, it's very meta.
Yeah, no. West Coast meets East Coast. I get most of the West Coast stuff there here on the East Coast.
Oh my God. Okay, I'd love to talk to you, but I know you're streaming.
No,
Is this?
So, yeah.
But you guys are both live right now.
oh yeah, is it all right for me to be live?
Lines are being blown.
Is that all right to be
Hey,
on?
Yang Gang, we might
I don't
have a
wanna be
first
on
right
Okay,
now.
fair enough.
We might have a first right now. Can you double live stream?
Can I? Yeah.
Can you double live stream?
If you all like,
I am now grassroots Yang Gang. This is how
can you like
grassroots.
turn it and like live stream each other?
Yeah,
We're gonna
certainly.
have, Let's do like the whole like endless mirror thing.
So let me. I'll mute. Oh wait.
The universe is like.
Oh, is that them? Oh,
What's going on?
wait, is that us?
I don't know. It's not 8:30 yet, is it?
What time is it?
It's 8:20 something.
You left my cell phone over there, too. 8:22. Is Steve talking?
Grab some talk about the talk, but do you guys have just like a quick moment that I can make a portion of y'all?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome.
Like, you're going to draw.
I would totally love to talk to this. Oh, you good? Yeah, I'll get it. I'll go and talk to. Oh wait, I'm now in front. Okay, it's this way. Okay, team. We got to get up there because Steve is about to have a conversation. Yeah, it's off. It's on. We're good. Hey, I'm gonna go up there in case he comes, but I'll have your stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, team. We're gonna get ready. Just in case. Oh, you want it? You're good.
All right, gang. So y'all used to seeing Andrew Yang stump speech, but we're gonna give you something different. We're gonna give you a little something different, a taste of something different, and then we are going to go up and catch Andrew Yang's live stream. And I just left my drink. We still haven't ordered food.
I love this corner right here with like the lights.
All right.
Those are really cool. And we're close enough to be for Christmas for it to be a thing, right?
I hope the server has our card. I set it down on the thing so she can take it.
So what I'm gonna have y'all do is, y'all are a couple, so I want you guys to get close and act like you like each other. And I'm gonna have you guys stand right here and look out this way. I'm gonna photograph you this way, right? So,
All right.
Okay. So what are you going to do with the phone?
Yeah. What am I gonna do with the phone?
you can be live streaming it if you wanna do that. Come out a little bit, not so much in the corner, let's free you up a little bit. Come over this way just a little bit.
Okay.
That was great.
It's chilly out here.
I want you to be live streaming it. Just do it. I love it.
Just live stream it. Hold it up in the air.
That looks great. Hold on, let me get I'm shooting you on film, so so this is like going super old school.
Yes.
All right.
Love old school.
All right. I want you guys to be doing that. Yeah, that's great. 1, 2. Amazing. Hold on a second. Let me swap out lenses really quick.
All right.
Is everyone watching this though?
Okay. You're still watching. And who are you with?
The New York Times.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, with her. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I got hair in my face.
And don't worry about smiling or anything like that. But let's just have you guys just looking towards me. Yeah, that's great. And can I have you
better be
guys-
on you, not me.
Can you hold it like kind of out and act like you're like live streaming it, or like you are? But
We
like,
are live streaming.
Yeah.
But like talk to.
Yeah. That's great. No,
Okay.
That's great. All right, just hold it. Hold it. Okay, just hold it for just a little bit longer. 1, 2. All right. Amazing. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Oh, this is your cord, right?
Yes. Thank you.
So that was a picture.
Oh, I almost dropped my phone. See, Yang Yang, this is what y'all help do. Y'all help get us to the New York Times and get these interviews. And so that's going, we're going in the paper, y'all. We're actually going in the New York Times. So it's spreading we're spreading Yang as you know, this is why it's so important for us to get out to these events. Like that, you know. Look at this. So I'm going up here to live stream Andrew Yang. I guess Mama Yang Yang still got the card to get some food. So you know.
He actually moved up here recently to cover for Andrew Yang. So we're actually in Vermont, living in Vermont. It's been on
Where in Vermont?
St. Johnsbury.
Bernie Sanders home.
Where in North Carolina are you?
We are from right outside of Charlotte.
It's a town called Monroe. Sorry.
And we watched Andrew Yang on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Right.
And the dude made so much sense. And I'm a lifelong conservative and a Trump guy. And he absolutely converted me. I'm like, wow, you know what? It is automation that's stealing our jobs, not immigrants.
So you got inspired by that.
Yes. Look, this man is not even president yet, and he's already creating jobs. That's amazing, you know, just because he inspires so many people. Because his vision is like one where it's like, you know what, maybe we don't have to be fighting so much. Maybe we all can get along. Maybe we can all, you know, I just want to
What an idea, right?
What an idea. Humanity first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We can give every homeless person $1,000 a month.
Well, Pari was saying that she had a really great conversation with him, so.
Well, good.
Yeah. She was found you guys to be like, you know, it's like that going from the conservatives from like Trump and like over to here is like that switch is like the 180 degree, you know, switch. It's like very interesting. It's like very unique, you know. So
we appreciate y'all taking the time out.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Russell, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll see you in there, right?
All right, bro. So you get all the coverage with the Grassroots Yang Gang family. So let's see if we can get it here.
Right on. Thank you, parents. I mean, you know, you have them. I got 2 girls. They're 16 and 14. I am proud of my girls. I think they're proud of Dad. And they're politically active because I would not have it any other way. Not my household. And one thing that they have asked me over the last several years, and I ran for governor, I tried to put my money where my mouth was mayor of my city at a young age, ran for governor of the state on what I think was a bold and progressive message. I wanted them to be proud of the work that I was doing. It is not enough for us to kind of worry, enough to bemoan, enough to point fingers, enough to define who we are by who we are not. My kids, your kids, I don't care how old they are looking to us to provide direction and leadership. We will be rewarded. We will be judged. We will be judged by what we did at this time, in this moment, a moment of transformation. It doesn't feel like it all the time right now, but I can tell you that's exactly the moment we're in. And it strikes me that the way to replace a president who is an outsider who doesn't know what he is doing is not with an insider. The opposite of an outsider who doesn't know what he's doing is an outsider who does. And we don't have a lot of choices like that right now. The choices, who out there right now in this field, whether you like them or not, and we're not hated, who are the candidates that generally are seen as the safe picks? All right. Anybody else? Who's safe? All right. Well, here's what I would submit to you. Somebody who has been in office for decades, who is trying to represent sort of a vague middle of the road at a time when folks are not looking to go back. Right? That is not safe. That is the riskiest way America can go in 2020. The riskiest thing we can do is to blur the differences. The riskiest thing we can do is to believe that the way forward is to simply look back. The riskiest thing we can do is to think that we can do the same thing, but this time, expect a different result. All those times, some of the most impactful presidents in our history, in both parties, whether it was Teddy and FDR, whether it was Reagan and Lincoln, whoever these people were at the right moment in history that ended up being the bold voice, Andrew Yang, to me, and I knew it in that first hour in a coffee shop about 3 blocks from here, had a boldness and a confidence to the way that he communicated what that vision for the future was. I'll be honest, 2 years ago, I wasn't thinking at all about universal basic income as an element of how we deal with basic income inequality and wealth inequality and educational inequality, opportunity inequality. But that's at the core of what the problem in this country is. And it turns out some of the biggest supporters of $1,000 a month, hello, I don't know if you're here for Yang, but you could stay. You can stay for Yang. Right there, you're with friends. Might you be Yang curious? They're like, what the hell did he just say? No. Oh, good. I think they're staying. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to folks willing to stay to see the next President of the United States in a few minutes. Oh, okay, great. Now, remember when I said he's going to be here in 4 minutes? How many minutes ago was that?
8.
That was at least, like, we're getting on 32 minutes again if we're not careful. But I have good news. You don't have to wait. Because I have faith in things not seen. I have faith in things I do see. Ladies and gentlemen, the next President of the United States of America, Andrew Yang. Hello, Manchester!
It's so great to be here! I love New Hampshire so much. I was just at Exeter. I graduated from high school there in 1992. How many of you knew that? I went to high school here in the state. Yeah, and I went back and spoke at Exeter, and I was honest. I said, I haven't been back here since I graduated because I didn't really enjoy it here. And then the student body erupted in applause, and I was like, oh, that wasn't my intended reaction. I guess things haven't changed that much in many ways. So I graduated from high school here in New Hampshire. I went to college in nearby Rhode Island. I then became an unhappy lawyer in New York City for 5 whole months, and I left there to start a business. How many of you all have started a business or organization or a club or a mailing list? I love entrepreneurs so much. Entrepreneurs make the world go round, and if you had your hand up or you clapped just now, you know a couple things. Number one, you know starting something is much harder than anyone lets on, am I right? Yes. And number two, when someone asks you how it's going, what do you say? Good. Great. It always is going great. My business went great until it failed. My parents told people I was still a lawyer. But I was bitten by the bug, and I started working at another company, and then another, and then I joined a company, became its CEO, and that company grew to become #1 in the US and was bought by a bigger company in 2009. Now, how many of you were here in New Hampshire in 2009, 10 years ago? This was the financial crisis. How was that period here in Manchester? Not so good. You know, I was in Derry a little bit earlier today, and I asked how the financial crisis was for people, and this 14-year-old raised his hand and said it was not good at all. And then I said, you must have been 4 years old, like, how do you remember? And then he said, my family had to sell their house and move. And then I said, yeah, you would remember that. That's the kind of thing that leaves an impact. So I saw the financial crisis unfolding, and unfortunately I had this sinking feeling as to how our economy collapsed. It had collapsed in part because a lot of the wannabe whiz kids I'd gone to Exeter and Brown and Columbia with had gone straight to Wall Street and come up with these derivatives and mortgage-backed securities and financial instruments that helped crash the economy. So I thought, what a train wreck that is, what a disaster. We need to have people doing very different things, like starting businesses in Detroit, Cleveland, Providence, Birmingham, New Orleans. So I quit my job, and all credit to my wife on this, because we joke all the time that it was like a bait and switch. Because when I started dating her, I was a pretty normal guy. Certainly, she would have run the other direction if she thought I was ever going to run for president. You know, it's not in the dating conversations, but that way. It's like, how do you feel about your spouse dropping everything? Well, I quit my job to start a nonprofit. How many of y'all have worked in nonprofits? How many of y'all have volunteered for a nonprofit? And you should really just have your hand up just to pretend on that one, because you sort of like, you know, it's like a signal you're a good person. So I quit my job and started a nonprofit. I donated some money. I started calling rich friends with a question, do you love America? And then the smart among them said, what does it mean if I say yes to this question? And I said, a check for this amount. Raised some money and started recruiting young people who wanted to learn how to build businesses around the country. Did that for 7 years, ran that organization, started out with a couple $100,000, grew to the millions, eventually helped create, now it's about 4,000 jobs and counting in 15 different cities. Oh, how many of you, raise your hand up before that you were in New Hampshire 10 years ago. How many of you grew up in New England? Let's try that. Midwest, anyone? Wow, look at that. South? West Coast? So I grew up in upstate New York, and then I went to high school here in New Hampshire, and then college in New England. So I had never been to Ohio, Michigan, Alabama, Louisiana, Missouri, all these places that Venture for America was operating. And I was stunned by the gulf between some regions and others, where if you go between St. Louis and San Francisco, or Michigan and Manhattan, you feel like you're crossing dimensions and decades and ways of life, and not just a few time zones. So I was absorbing this, and I had this sinking feeling. So I got all this recognition for starting Venture for America. I got invited to the White House to meet the president. I got to bring my wife to meet the president, so my in-laws were very excited about me for a week. And we're like, oh, she did all right. Check it out. And so I was getting clapped on the back for helping create thousands of jobs, and I'm very, very proud. But at the same time, because of my travels, I had this sinking feeling that I was pouring water into a bathtub that had a giant hole ripped in the bottom of it, and that things were getting worse, not better, in much of the country. And then Donald Trump became our president in 2016. How did you all react to his becoming our president? Sadness, groans, disbelief, shock. Well, we all have friends and family members and neighbors who celebrated his victory. To me, there was a giant stop sign, a red flag, where tens of millions of our fellow Americans thought that taking a bet on the narcissist reality TV star was the right way to go. That's not business as usual. Let's stop what you're doing and dig in and figure it out. If you turn on cable news today, why would you think that he won? Why would you think that Donald Trump's our president today? Russia. Hillary Clinton, Facebook, racism perhaps, FBI, emails, all mixed together. But I'm a numbers guy, Manchester, and there's an explanation to the numbers that I found to be completely compelling. We automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs over the last number of years, and where were those jobs? Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Iowa, all of the swing states that Donald Trump needed to win and did win. Something very similar happened right here in New Hampshire, but it happened earlier, where you all lost over 12,000 manufacturing jobs, primarily in the northern part of New Hampshire. And if you go to those towns never recovered. After the plant closed, the shopping center closed, people started leaving the town, the schools started to shrink. The same thing played out in Michigan, Ohio, Western Pennsylvania. And unfortunately, what happened to those jobs is not stopping there. How many of you have noticed stores closing where you live here in New Hampshire?
Yes.
And why are those stores closing? Amazon, that's right. Amazon's soaking up $20 billion in business every single year. How much did Amazon pay in taxes last year? Zero. That is the math. 20 billion out, zero back in. 30% of America's stores and malls are closing as we speak. And the most common job in much of the country is retail clerk. Average retail clerk's a 39-year-old woman making between $9 and $10 an hour. So we started with these manufacturing jobs. We get rid of 4 million of them. And if you doubt that that got Donald Trump into office, there's actually a straight line up between the adoption of industrial automation in a voting area and the movement towards Trump in that area. It's like a straight line up in each of these voting areas. And what we did to those jobs, we're now doing to the retail jobs, the call center jobs, the fast food jobs, eventually the truck driving jobs. So what do I mean by all that? When you all call the customer service line of a company right now, and you get the software, the bot, you do the same thing I do, which is you pound 000, say human, till you get someone on the line, right? Right? Raise your hand if that's what you do. You're like, yeah, that's good. And say, yeah, it's everyone. Because the software is miserable. But in 2 or 3 short years, the software is going to sound like this. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? What can I do for you? It'll be fast, efficient, delightful. You might not even know it's software. What is that going to mean for the 2.5 million Americans who work in call centers right now making $14 an hour? How many of you have seen a self-serve kiosk at a McDonald's or fast food chain? McDonald's says they'll be in every location in the country by 2021. That's 2 years from now. I guess it's 1 year and 4 hours from now. And what they're doing in the front of the house, they're now moving to the back of the house with robot burger flippers and fry cookers and the rest of it. Rubber will really hit the road when the robot trucks start hitting the highways in earnest. How many of you know a trucker here in New Hampshire? It's the most common job in 29 states. There are 3.5 million truck drivers. And my friends in California are working very hard on trucks that can drive themselves. If you doubt that this is real, a truck just went from California to Pennsylvania and delivered 20 tons of butter with no human intervention. Why 20 tons of butter? I have no idea. But if you Google robot butter truck, this is what comes up. This is literally 2 weeks ago. What will the robot trucks mean for the 3.5 million truckers or the 7 million Americans who work in truck stops, motels, and diners that rely upon the truckers getting out and having a meal? Almost 10% of the jobs in the state of Nebraska support trucking. What happens when the trucks don't stop anymore? This set of changes is the greatest economic transformation in our country's history, what experts are calling the fourth industrial revolution. When is the last time you heard a politician say the words fourth industrial revolution?
Just now.
Just now.
You got us.
And I'm barely a politician, New Hampshire. You don't hate me for it.
No.
Oh, that was a good reason for that. So I looked at all these changes in early 2017, and I went to our leaders in DC, because my first move was not to run for president of the United States. You know, again, I'm married. So I went to our leaders in DC, and I said to them, what are we going to do to help our people manage this transition? And what do you think the folks in DC said to me when I said, what are we going to do? I don't know. They said, number one, we cannot talk about that, Andrew. Number two, we should study that. Number three, we should educate and retrain all Americans for the jobs of the future. Now that one sounds pretty good, but I looked at the studies. You all want to guess how effective the government-funded retraining programs were for the manufacturing workers who lost their jobs? I'm anchoring you low because it's very low. It was 0 to 15%. They're a total dud. The fact is, half of the manufacturing workers in the Midwest who lost their jobs never worked again. And of that group, half filed for disability. You then saw surges in suicides and drug overdoses in those communities to the point where our life expectancy has now declined for the last 3 years in a row because suicides and drug overdoses have each overtaken vehicle deaths as cause of death in the US. And I know right here in New Hampshire is one of the epicenters of the opiate epidemic, that many of you have been touched by it. It is not just you. 8 Americans die of drugs every hour now. You all want to know the last time American life expectancy declined for 3 years in a row? The Spanish flu of 1918. Global pandemic that killed millions 100 years ago. You have to go that far back. It's highly unusual for a developed country to ever have its life expectancy go down. It ordinarily just goes up in one direction because you're getting richer, stronger, healthier. In America, it went down and then down and then down again. Almost unprecedented. So when I said, look, retraining doesn't work to the folks in DC, they said, well, I guess we'll get better at it. And one person said something that brought me here to you all tonight. He said, Andrew, you're in the wrong town. No one here in DC will do anything about this because fundamentally this is a town of followers, not leaders. And the only way we will do anything about it is if you were to create a wave in other parts of the country and bring that wave crashing down on our heads. And I said, challenge accepted. I'll be back with the wave in 2 years. So that is why I'm here with you tonight, because New Hampshire, you are the wave. You are the wave that's going to remake our economy to work for us, to work for you, to work for our families, to work for our people. I love campaigning here because you are among the most powerful people in our country today. It does not feel like it because you're just living your lives, celebrating New Year's, going out with friends. But I did the math. Do you know how many Californians each of you is worth? 1,000 Californians each. So you look around this group, let's say there are 100 of us. That's 2.5 football stadiums worth of Californians. That's the power of this bar tonight. Again, some of the most powerful people in our country today. Most of our fellow citizens look up and they see our government as a set of pipes that's been overrun by lobbyist cash, just stuffed with millions and millions of dollars, and there is nothing they can do to change it. They are right. There is nothing they can do to change it. You know the only people in the country who can flush the pipes clean? You. You are the only ones. There is no other New Hampshire. This is it. So the question is, what are you going to do with that power? What vision are you going to take to the rest of the country? Now, if you're here tonight, at some point you heard there's a guy running for president who wants to give everyone $1,000 a month. And I know the first time you heard it, you were like, ha ha, that's a gimmick, that will never happen, that's too good to be true. But this is not my idea and it's not a new idea. Thomas Paine was for it at the founding of our country. He called it the citizen's dividend. Martin Luther King, whose son I had the privilege of meeting with in Atlanta, fought for it in the 1960s, and it is what he was fighting for when he was killed in 1968, the guaranteed minimum income for all Americans. It was so mainstream, 1,000 economists endorsed it in the 1960s, including Milton Friedman, one of the patron saints of libertarianism. And in the early 80s, one state passed a dividend where now everyone in that state gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And what state is that? Alaska. And how does Alaska pay for it? Oil. And what is the oil of the 21st century? Data, technology, AI, self-driving cars and trucks. A study came out that just said that our data is now worth more than oil. How many of you saw that study? How many of you got your data check in the mail last month? We laugh, but if it's worth tens of billions of dollars, where are the data checks going? Facebook, Amazon, Google, and the mega tech companies that are paying zero or near zero in taxes. That is the game, New Hampshire. Again, Amazon, 20 billion out, zero back. And main streets shut down around the country. Rural areas in particular get depleted. Kids feel like they have to leave their community or their state to access the kind of opportunities that they want. And the biggest winners in the 21st century economy pay nothing in return. So in that context, the $1,000 dividend would actually help build a trickle-up economy and make our communities and families stronger. After I'm your president and you have this dividend in your hands in 2021, where will the money be spent in real life? How would you all spend it? How much of it would stay right here in New Hampshire? Not all of it. A little bit of it would float up in the cloud. You might get your own Netflix password instead of passing the same one around. But most of it would stay right here in New Hampshire. It would go to car repairs you've been putting off, and daycare expenses, and Little League signups, and local nonprofits, and religious organizations. It would make us all stronger, healthier, mentally healthier, improve our stress levels, our graduation rates. You can all make this happen. You must make this happen. Because in the context of this economic transformation, we're all in a race that more and more of us are going to lose. Right now we're confusing economic value and human value in this country, where we say whatever the market says we're valued is correct. And I'm here to say that that is 100% wrong. And the example I will use is very close to home. My wife, Evelyn, right now is at home with our 2 boys, one of whom is autistic. How much is her work valued at every day? 0. And we know that's not right. It's not just her work, it's the work of caregivers and nurturers and volunteers and coaches and mentors and artists. To a large extent, journalists, because we're zeroing out journalism in this country. 2,000 local newspapers have closed over the last number of years, and it makes it very hard to have a functioning democracy if you can't get any information about what the heck is going on in your community. The market is zeroing out more and more of the things that we value most in our lives, and that's just going to accelerate. I am friends with some of the leading technologists in our country, and here's what they say to me. They say, I've been to the lab, I have seen artificial intelligence in action, and when it comes out, it is going to be more disruptive than anyone believes. You know how that conversation never goes? I have been to the lab, I have seen artificial intelligence, and everything's going to be fine. That's not the end of that thought. I spoke to 70 CEOs in New York City, and I asked them, how many of you are looking at replacing your back office clerical workers with artificial intelligence and software? Guess how many hands went up out of 70? All 70, that's right. The fact is you could fire any CEO who did not have his hand up. It was generally guys too. Because that is the system we have built. We have built a system where everything revolves around capital efficiency, and it is grinding us up. It is tearing us apart. It is turning us against each other. This is what you must reverse. You must disentangle economic value and human value and say that we have worth because we are Americans, we are human beings, and this is still our country. Am I right? I'm not running for president because I fantasized about being president. The truth is I don't like DC. I'm running for president because, like many of you here tonight, I'm a parent and a patriot. I have seen the future that lies ahead for our kids, and it is not something I am willing to accept. You should not accept it either, New Hampshire. And you are the only people who can change it. You are the only people who can rewrite the rules of the 21st century to work for you, to work for your children. If you are a young person in this country, I apologize to you on behalf of the adults, because we have left you an awful mess. If you were born in the 1940s in this country, well, congratulations, that's a pretty good run already. It means you're out at a bar. But if you were born in the 1940s in the United States, there was a 93% chance that you were going to be better off than your parents. That is the American dream in action. That is the American dream that brought my family here. If you were born in the 1990s, which is many of you, you're down to a 50-50 shot, and that number is declining quickly. That is what got Donald Trump elected. That is what we have to change. We put this dividend in place. It allows us to look our kids in the eye and say, we did everything we could to help leave you a country that will work for you and that we will still be proud of. Donald Trump became our president because he had a very clear message. He said he was going to make America great again. What did Hillary Clinton say in response? America's already great. Remember that, Manchester? It's been a long several years. It's about to end, though. The time is about to end. Hillary Clinton said it was already great, and that message did not work because the pain and the problems in our country are real. We are experiencing record high levels of stress, mental health problems, student loan indebtedness, drug abuse, suicides. We have to start measuring our economy by how we're actually doing. We're getting beaten over the head with these phantom measurements about our economy. And what are they? What are the big ones that they're always blaring at you? Stock market prices, GDP, and headline unemployment, right? They're saying things are great, things are great, things are great. And you're like, why do they not feel great? Because they're not great. So GDP is a measurement we made up almost 100 years ago. And the inventor said this is a terrible measurement of national well-being and we should never use it as that. Here we are 100 years later following it off a cliff. Robot trucks will be great for GDP, be very, very bad for lots of Americans. Stock market prices, the bottom 80% of Americans own 8% of stock market wealth. The bottom 50% own essentially zero. So you're talking about a measurement that corresponds just to the top band of Americans. And headline unemployment doesn't include the fact that many of us are doing 2 or 3 jobs to get by. Majority of new jobs are temp jobs that don't have benefits. If you are a college graduate, there's a 40% chance you're doing a job that does not require a degree. If you drop out of the workforce, you don't count anymore in the unemployment stats. How many of you have run a business or organization again? Imagine if you had the wrong measurements for that organization. How's it going to do over time? That is where we are as a country right now. That is why we can't even understand the problems. We should be measuring our economy based upon our wellness and life expectancy, our mental health and freedom from substance abuse, clean air and clean water, how our kids are doing. If we had these as the measurements, we would see what the real problems are and work to solve them. We would see we're in a mental health recession, a wellness recession, that the problems are real. The problems are real, but Donald Trump's solutions were not what we need. What were his solutions? Build a wall, turn the clock back, bring the oil jobs back. New Hampshire, you know we have to do the opposite of these things. We have to turn the clock forward. We have to accelerate our economy and society as quickly as possible to rise to the real challenges of this time. We have to evolve in the way we think about ourselves and our work and our value. And I am the ideal candidate for this job because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Many of you don't know this, but math is an acronym. What does it stand for? Make America think harder. That's right. That is your job, New Hampshire. It is your job to move us not left, not right, but forward in 2020. And I know you'll take your job very seriously. Thank you so much. I love this place. Let's make history together in 2020. Happy New Year, Manchester! All right. Give it up once again, Andrew Yang! Andrew Yang, Andrew Yang, Andrew Yang, Andrew Yang. All right, couple things. I got some news to break. Okay. I'm not sure Andrew's aware of this news. I'm Wolf Blitzer, breaking news. Stand by. So several days ago, we wanted to set an end of quarter goal. This is the last quarter before they start counting votes. Okay. We wanted to raise $3 million by December 31st. Well, the problem was the Yang Gang did it too quickly. So we did that. So then last night, we said, hey Yang Gang, can we make it 3.5 million? Because we got to shock the world. Well, we just beat 3.5 million while you were making your remarks, baby. That's what I'm talking about. So no rest for the weary. So you can thank Zach, our national campaign manager, who's running to his car right now, because they just said, hey Yang Gang, can we make 4 million? Jesus Christ. But you know what? Maybe we will, baby. Because we're talking about Andrew Yang. All right. So, all right. Who
selfie with the next president. All right, listen up. We're going to line it up. We're going to do it counterclockwise. Nope. We're going to do it clockwise. You're going to line up this way. Whatever, just line up this way. And then you're going to go back around this way after your photo. If you want to drink all night, y'all go do that. Because it is going to be 2020, and we're going to start celebrating that. But if you want to go home, you can do that too. But line up this way. Andrew is going to do a quick press gaggle right here. And then after that, we will begin the selfies. And then we will begin the final celebrations for 2020. Thank you guys very much. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here tonight.
Like up front, just this way, so we can get you all out of the way.
What do we do? This way? That this was what you were going to be doing New Year's Eve.
I don't know where it is. Pretty much when you announced it. Okay, so is everyone ready?
Yeah. Do you mind stepping just two? Yeah. Okay. Get back.
We just announced a poll that we're doing tonight. We've set quite a few goals this quarter and met them. $12.9 million is the figure that the publication of any other Q4 numbers.
We're going to beat 12.5 million by a significant margin. And I'm excited to announce the number. We'll be doing so, I would guess, in the next day or two. But thanks to the Yang Gang, we are growing faster than any other candidate or campaign. We're going to put up a really impressive number in Q4, and I can't be more excited about it. We're going to be here and compete the entire way all through the spring.
And resource-wise, what's the focus for your campaign? Is it more field? Is it those TV ad buys? Is it diversifying staff? What is that?
So, I like to take the money we raise and then turn it into gold coins, and then take the gold coins and put them in a giant vault, and then go above the pile of gold coins and then jump in and swim around. That's my preferred use of the money we raise. So thank you, Yang Gang.
Joe Biden said yesterday that he would consider a Republican as a running mate. I'm wondering if you would consider the same, and if you could give us maybe some examples of names for you. What?
I need a running mate that has deep relationships in Washington, D.C. to help get things done. If you look back on 2008, Barack Obama tapped Joe Biden to be VP for that reason. So that's one thing that I'd have in mind. I believe I would have a Democratic running mate, but we have to get to that stage and sit down with people. I certainly would not rule out having someone who might be an independent or from the Republican Party.
Are there any names that you could think of that who you might be able to work with?
Yeah, one of the joys of running for president is you get to spend time with other candidates and other leaders. There are a number of people I believe I'll be working with for years to come to solve America's problems.
What are your thoughts on the January PNC debate?
Yes, what are my thoughts? Well, first, we expect to be there. We're very confident that as soon as there are polls here in New Hampshire and in the other early states, it will show that we've been growing very, very quickly. And all we ask is that the DNC actually has polls so that we can show that growth. It's been over a month and a half since there's been any qualifying poll in any of the early states. And that seems to be setting up a stumbling block for the voice of the almost 400,000 Americans who donated to our campaign to have their voice heard on the debate stage. I was surprised that the DNC decided to elevate this threshold, but certainly if they're going to elevate the threshold, there need to be rules so you can demonstrate your support in places like New Hampshire, where all of the campaigns, not just my campaign, have been investing their time and energy and resources.
One more statement that you said in response to the comment Joe Biden made that anyone who can throw coal in a furnace can learn how to program. You often said that teaching coal miners how to code is not the way to go. You spoke about it in your tweet. Can you just expand on that?
Joe and I get along very well, but he and I disagree fundamentally on this, where the skills necessary to be a coal miner and the skills necessary to be a coder are very, very different. And generalizing and saying that anyone who can do one can do another is very counterproductive. It's not indicative of reality. And we need to think much, much bigger about what the jobs of the future look like that reflect the values and needs and aspirations of a community, and not a narrow idea of what the market is looking for. The reality is that only 8% of American jobs are in STEM fields. And that the other 92% are going to somehow become part of that 8% is completely unrealistic. And it also does not take into account the fact that some of the jobs that are most likely to be automated in the days ahead are basic coding jobs. So we need to humanize our economy and not try and cram people into these roles that only make sense in a very, very limited market-based idea of what our communities and what the jobs of the future should look like.
There are a lot of places to be here, like Iowa, other states. Why New Hampshire?
Because New Hampshire has the word new in its name, and we're here to celebrate New Year's Eve. It's not Iowa Year's Eve, it's New Year's Eve. So we're going to do it right here in the great state of New Hampshire.
Give us a tease of what we can expect at midnight.
There's going to be crowd surfing and juggling and inebriation. So I personally am probably not going to indulge because I have to get up the next day campaign. But the Yang Gang, I'm sure, will have a great time, deservedly so, because we've had a great year and we deserve to celebrate. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're the best. Juggling. Do you juggle?
Poorly.
I hope y'all can hear that okay.
Yeah, we know.
Look the other way, yeah.
But we'll try to talk loud so that y'all can hear. So another awesome stump speech by Andrew Yang, and he interviewed by the New York Times. Pretty awesome
with
stuff.
us to do the photo shoot. That was fun,
Did a
right?
photo shoot for the New York Times.
They were there, remember?
Yeah, y'all were there. This is the great thing about being on the live feed and stuff like that. Y'all get to see everything as it happens. And we are going to be live streaming the next event, which is the New Year's Eve celebration. We got to get some charge on these phones.
You said there was crowd surfing and juggling.
You heard it, crowd
What did y'all
surfing.
think about the joke where he jumps in a pile of gold coins and
That was
spins
awesome.
around?
Look, he kept looking at us when he was talking because we were laughing at it when he
We
was
couldn't
saying
stop
it.
laughing.
He was talking about playing in the gold coin. That was awesome. We appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat donations and any donations for our leagues. We appreciate it. We finally got some food. Finally was able to eat. We ate half a sandwich each.
I didn't get to eat the rest of my house.
The serving lady, she took our plate before we were even done with it.
Whoops. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, she took the plate before I was
Just
done.
about took our tripod out.
Low battery.
So, thank you, Yang Gang, for the donations. Very much appreciated. We are about to end this live stream. If y'all saw, look, y'all got to see it all tonight. This live stream. Yeah, we get Lacey the lane in there. Now you see it all. Good pictures. One half of the screen team, president and accountant for it, who will be in attendance at NYE Studio. There's Zach Ramen Noodles. So, a lady with the return in the back. We appreciate you, Yang Gang. I'm sure that y'all are going to be on our live stream later, right? Celebration. Yang. Y'all don't know what's going to happen. Y'all saw me yang a trumper tonight. Came a long way. I think we got it. Because that seed was planted, and y'all heard me talking. There's no way he's going to go home now, and he's going to be like, that dude made a whole lot of sense. And then he heard Agent Yang speak, so he's obviously Yang curious anyway. He's just fighting like a lot of us back.
In my opinion, you cannot sit there and listen to Yang speak and not be Yang Gang, right? I mean, that might just be me.
We love you, Yang Gang. See you here shortly. Make sure y'all tune in. Like, share, subscribe, donate if you can. Love you.
Love you.
Thank you so much, Brent. Happy New Year.
We'll see you soon.